The 90-year-old emperor passed away, and dressed in mourning attire, I served as his youngest concubine supporting the coffin. Jiyu Zhaoyang also came to pay condolences with his pregnant best friend. I bowed in return. He hurriedly stopped me. "Ah, Your Highness the noble consort must not act this way." I returned the courtesy calmly. "Such are the formalities. The chief minister need not be alarmed." I.e., his eyes reddened. "You still blame me. You flatter me, Prime Minister." All my lingering attachments to him vanished 7 years ago, on the day he forcibly dressed me in bridal robes, shoved me into a carriage, and made me marry the 83-year-old emperor in Song Jian's stead. Every last trace dissipated. Jiyu Zhaoyan's tribute box was presented. I opened it right in front of him. Beneath the gold and silver jewelry lay a tiny pinwheel. The paper had yellowed and faded, the bamboo dried and cracked. It was the very one we played with together as children. Did His Excellency the Chief Minister put something in the wrong place? I didn't even lift an eyelid. Jiyu Zhaoyan's voice was slightly hoarse. This humble official has kept everything bestowed by Her Ladyship the noble consort. I threw the windmill into the brazier. A perfectly composed smile remained on my face. "My deepest gratitude, Prime Minister." Jiyu Zhaoyang watched as the flames consumed the pinwheel, his eyes instantly reddening at the corners. His Adam's apple bobbed once before his expression smoothed into its usual composure. "The bottom layer contains Shu's Osmanthus cakes, this year's first batch, Her Highness the noble consort's favorite flavor in the past. My thanks." I casually tossed the box aside. This consort has long since lost her taste for sweets. Song Jian was still waiting outside the house. Jiyu Zhaoyang glanced at me before leaving reluctantly, turning back repeatedly. Before opening the door, he spoke hoarsely. "About what happened back then." My lord," Song Jian's voice called out. Jiyu Zhaoyang swallowed all his words. The maidservant Ying spoke suspiciously. "The chief minister was merely your childhood friend, yet he treats your majesty with more care than even an elder brother would." I smiled bitterly. "He has no right to mention my brother." All for Song Jian. My father and brother were long ago sent to the Yellow Springs by his own hand, at the age of 15, the day before. I was still playing with pinwheels in the courtyard with Jiyu Zhaoyang. The next day, I was told that the Jiyu family's house could no longer be visited. When I rushed to the Jiyu residence, their mansion had already been burned to ruins. Yesterday's radiant youth sat atop broken walls in tattered clothes. A lifeless aura clung to him. His throat was scorched hoarse by the blistering air. I.e., the Jiyu family has been falsely accused of treason. He handed me the letter of annulment. "It's not that I wish to abandon you, but this is a crime punishable by extermination of 9 generations. I clenched my teeth. Kneeling before my father and brothers, I begged them to help Jiyu Zhaoyang. Though furious, after a night had passed, his father and elder brother still rushed about the imperial court for the sake of their old family friend's son. The Jiyu family's case was overturned, and Jiyu Zhaoyang was spared from execution. That day, heavy snow fell relentlessly. Kneeling in the snow, Jiyu Zhaoyang broke his finger and let his blood spill upon the ground. In this life, I am but a pawn of the Wen family, willing to go through fire and water without hesitation. Heaven above and earth below, and the spirits of our ancestors bear witness. He wasn't lying. In just 2 years, he rose from being an orphan of the Jiyu family to the position of Chief Grand Secretary of the Cabinet. The father and brothers who once shielded Jiyu Zhaoyang in court now needed his protection instead. Jiyu Zhaoyang never boasted of his achievements. Even as a high-ranking official close to the emperor, he would still perform grand salutes when encountering his father and brothers who held positions 2 or 3 ranks below him. At home, he continued to behave as their son and younger brother. To me, he remained that radiant young man. I'll always remember that Shu's Osmanthus cakes were my favorite flavor. Our first rift came because of my best friend, Miss Song Jian. The eldest daughter of the Song family, the Song family was brought down by political rivals. Song Jian became homeless. The day I brought her home, Jiyu Zhaoyang had his first argument with me. Don't you know that among those who falsely accused the Jiyu family of treason back then, her Song family shouted the loudest? I explained over and over that Ian wasn't involved in any of that. She never knew what her family had done. Yet even so, Jiyu Zhaoyang remained upset for half a month. Until I blushed and planted a kiss on his cheek. Only then did he reluctantly concede, promising he wouldn't target Song Jian anymore. Yang was also quite tactful. She did her best to avoid every possible encounter with Jiyu Zhaoyang. At family gatherings, she would stick to me like glue. Jiyu Zhaoyang increasingly worked overtime at the cabinet office. He vowed to reach the highest position and marry me gloriously. My heart ached for him, a young mistress who'd never lifted a finger. Now learning to cook soups with her own hands, late at night, I'd prepare steaming porridge and personally deliver it to the cabinet office to check on him. That's when I saw him pressing Song Jian against the wall, kissing her with unrestrained passion. The food box fell to the ground. Hot porridge splashed onto the back of my hand. It scalded so badly that blisters formed. For the first time in my life, I struck Jiyu Zhaoyang. She picked up the inkstone again and hurled it at my best friend. Jiyu Zhaoyang shielded Song Jian with his shoulder, taking the heavy blow for her. He ordered his subordinates to protect Song Jian as she left, forcing me onto a chair. He wouldn't let me chase after them, until my voice grew hoarse and I exhausted myself from struggling. He finally released me. He sighed, rubbing his temples wearily. I only did this because of you. What? With reddened eyes, I stared at him. You were the one who said Ian resembles how I used to be. And that if I could help her, I must do so. She's being targeted by enemies of the Song family. With the Song family's decline, all the grudges her family members incurred are now being settled through her. Do you really think the Wen family can protect her? If I hadn't brought her to the cabinet, you'd have been collecting her corpse long ago. I never expected their affairs could be blamed on me. He gently lifted my chin. A tender kiss landed on my forehead. Ah, Yang. Improvising on the spot is perfectly normal. Someone was just trying to kill Ah Yang. I kissed her deliberately to save her life. Be good. I've told you, you're the only wife I'll ever have in this lifetime. His lips, which had just kissed Song Jian, landed on my forehead. I pushed him away violently. I rushed home and collapsed weeping before my father and brother, but my ever-indulgent family merely wiped away my tears and sighed. I.e., the political arena changes in the blink of an eye. Performing on the spot, that's not impossible. I couldn't believe it. My elder brother frowned. Now our entire family must rely on the chief minister. Aye, just trust him. Everyone tells me that matters of officialdom cannot be judged by appearances alone, even if kissed. It was merely a matter of expediency. Song Jian even sought me out and knelt before me with a loud thud. Shuyi, when the chief grand secretary entangled with me that day, it was truly only to help me evade my enemies. You're my savior. If I were to meddle with your betrothed, my parents in the afterlife would never forgive me. If you're angry, I'll throw myself down the well right now. I swear I'll never disturb you and the chief grand secretary again. With that, he truly leaped into the well. Fortunately, the servants managed to grab him, yet his forehead was still gashed. Blood streamed down. I.e., we grew up together. You know me, I'm not that kind of woman. Her blood mingled with tears. Tears fell from my eyes. Go. I turned my back. You've saved up enough during this time. There's no need to stay with the Wen family anymore. Though reluctant to part, she still agreed in the end. On the day Song Jian left, Jiyu Zhaoyang accompanied me to see her off. He stood beside me with his usual expression. He wiped away my tears when I cried, showing not a trace of reluctance toward Song Jian. Yet less than a month after Song Jian left, the Wen family was falsely accused of treason. Jiyu Zhaoyang had long since rebuilt the Jiyu family estate. On the day such grave charges were levied, I rushed madly to the Jiyu residence just as I had at 15, only this time, It was I who stood there in tattered rags. Ah Yang, someone must have framed the Wen family. You're His Majesty's most trusted confidant. I beg you to plead for the Wen family. I'm begging you. Her forehead struck the ground. Yet it wasn't Jiyu Zhaoyang who pushed open the door. Shuyi, Song Jian's rosy face appeared before me, meeting my astonished gaze. Her eyes darted away. Only then did I realize why Jiyu Zhaoyang hadn't shown any reluctance that day. It was because Song Jian had been taken by him to the Jiyu residence. The chief minister is currently in conference with the head eunuch and has no time to see you. Guards, take Miss Wen away. Song Jian. Both my arms were forcibly seized. My screams dissipated into the wind. Song Jian pressed her lips together and ultimately closed the door that could have led to her father and brother's survival. I begged everyone I could. My shoes fell off from running, leaving both feet blooded. Yet all those former friends of my father and brother, even those who owed favors to the Wen family, refused to see me. The next day, Jiyu Zhaoyang sought me out on his own. I grabbed his neck like a madwoman. It was you. You're the one who falsely accused us of treason. You. Jiyu Zhaoyang frowned. What are you talking about? They told me. I begged them all night. They told me. I laughed until tears streamed down my face. Yes. Who else would dare touch the Wen family? Who else could touch the Wen family besides you, Jiyu Zhaoyang? With the Wen family gone, the Song family immediately took their place. Was this all for Song Jian? My hands clutching him were easily pushed away. I fell to the ground. He looked down at me from above. You were the one who said she's just like how I used to be. At first I couldn't accept it, but later, I realized you were right. I stared at him in disbelief. The day Iron was taken to the Wen family, I seemed to see myself again, that lost and helpless version of me standing amidst the ruins of the Jiyu family. I did despise her at first, but later, I couldn't bear to see her wronged. Watching her suffer was like seeing my own past weakness, that version of me who couldn't protect anyone. My voice trembled slightly. Jiyu Zhaoyang, I want the Song family to be restored, just like the Jiyu family rising from adversity. His hand gently brushed across my cheek. The Wen family is the greatest obstacle on the Song family's path forward. Do you understand? Slap. A resounding slap landed hard across his face. Jiyu Zhaoyan's cheek tilted slightly to one side. He didn't get angry. Instead, he rubbed my hand that I'd hit him with. You didn't abandon me when the Jiyu family fell from grace. Now, I won't abandon you either. Rest assured, the Wen family's rebellion won't affect you. Jiyu Zhaoyang, you might as well just let me die. He turned a deaf ear to my breakdown. He stood up and left without looking back. My father and brother never returned after being taken away. My requests for prison visits were all denied. I frantically sought help everywhere. Yet no one extended a helping hand to me. The only person I could rely on, Jiyu Zhaoyang, had his heart and eyes full of Song Jian. I stopped their carriage in the street, shouting curses at him for his ingratitude. Spread far and wide how he repaid Song Jian's kindness with ingratitude, dumped all the vegetable vendors' produce onto their carriage, yet didn't harm a single hair on their heads. Everyone looked at me with contempt. The chief minister was right. This woman has truly gone mad. How pitiable the chief minister is. Though his childhood sweetheart's family committed treason and he could have walked away, he didn't abandon her because of their past affection. Yet this childhood friend shows no gratitude at all. When her father and brothers committed such treasonous acts, she too deserved death. Were it not for the chief minister, how could she be here ranting like a madwoman? Miss Song is also to be pitied, having such a close friend foisted upon her. Jiyu Zhaoyang looked at me coldly. His eyes were filled with understanding. Suddenly, I realized, Jiyu Zhaoyang was no longer the Jiyu Zhaoyang I knew. He maneuvers effortlessly through official circles. His cunning far surpassing ordinary depths. He's guiding me toward madness. The news of my insanity had already been spread by him long before I truly lost my mind. Such was his confidence. It will surely drive me mad. since the eldest daughter of the Wen family has gone insane, my marriage contract with the Wen family is hereby annulled, but I still won't abandon Miss Wen." Amidst the chorus of "The chief counselor is truly benevolent," I finally understood. He orchestrated all of this precisely for this moment, all to ceremoniously welcome Song Jian into the GU residence, without needing to honor the betrothal by marrying his childhood sweetheart me first. After I went mad, he had every justification to confine me within the manor. The only thing that keeps me going each day is listening to the servants discuss how my father and brother's trial is progressing, until the news came that my father and brother had been executed ahead of schedule. That day, the rain poured down in torrents. Weeping, I rushed into Jiu Zhaoyan's courtyard and knelt before him. "I won't stand between you and Iron anymore. Just let me see my father and brother. I'm begging you just this once. I'll never ask for anything else." He looked down at me from his superior position. His black python robe clung tightly to his body. Rainwater streamed down his face like tears, yet his eyes remained utterly cold. "Jiu Zhaoyang, I beg you." "Guards," I heard his icy voice. "Dress Miss Wen in bridal attire and escort her to the palace." "Jiu Zhaoyang." I looked at him blankly. His Adam's apple bobbed. "Sorry, Iron has caught the old emperor's eye. Since you resemble her, help her." "Jiu Zhaoyang." My eyes widened in terror. "I'm sorry, Iron has struggled so hard to reach this point. We can't let her be ruined by that old emperor." I was dragged away forcibly. For the first time in my life, I wept and pleaded so humbly. "Jiu Zhaoyang, I won't marry. Let me see my father and brother. I beg you. I must see my father and brother." The servants couldn't pull me away. He gritted his teeth. He stepped forward and grabbed my wrist, twisting it until a searing pain shot through my arm. The wedding dress was draped over me by his own hands, and I was pushed into the carriage. His eyes were terrifyingly red. "Be good. I'll bury your father and brother's bodies with the highest honors." I shook my head tearfully. "No, I won't marry. I beg you. Prime Minister, I beg you, depart." He barked the command. The carriage forcibly delivered me to that 83-year-old emperor. A cold wind swept through the morning hall. I shuddered. Only then did I notice Ying was already choking back sobs. Fortunately, with the old empress passing, she could cry as much as she wanted. The morning hall was nearly empty now. I've sent away all who needed to be sent away. I can go back now. Stepping out of the morning hall, a familiar figure stood at the entrance. The pallbearer must also be buried alive during the interment. Jiu Zhaoyan's voice was hoarse. "Is it true?" I replied expressionlessly. "Yes, I can make you appear dead." I sidestepped past his outstretched hand, brushed past him. "Are ye?" He turned around, his voice filled with urgency. "Are you really planning to follow the late emperor in death?" I continued walking forward. "Are ye?" I was wrong. I was wrong about what happened back then. "Don't die for him," the Grand Secretary jokes. The carriage stopped before me, a large, bony hand extended outward. I placed my hand in that person's palm, turning back. I am no longer the late emperor's wife. The wind lifted the sedan curtain. A man's face burst into Jiu Zhaoyan's view. He heard his own voice. Nearly breaking, second prince, his political rival, i.e. Jiu Zhaoyang had never been so urgent before. He wanted to grasp my hand, but with a slight tug from the person in the carriage. I was pulled inside. Jiu Zhaoyan's outstretched hand barely brushed against the hem of my robe. Soon, even the carriage vanished from his sight. "Are ye?" He lifted his foot to chase after her, but was hastily stopped by his arriving subordinates. "Chief Counselor, the weather is cold and the rain heavy. Please be careful not to catch a chill. Don't stop me. Get away. Get lost." He shoved aside the umbrella his subordinate offered, frantically trying to chase after the carriage while his men desperately held him back. "Grand Counselor, that's the second prince's palanquin. Charging at a royal carriage is a grave offense." "No, Ae is still on there." His eyes were bloodshot. Yet his subordinates held him back desperately. In his daze, he seemed to recall that rainy night 7 years ago. The girl had fought desperately to get out of the carriage. He merely stood there stubbornly blocking their way, using the corpses of her father and brother as leverage. That day when the carriage departed from the GU residence, for a fleeting moment he wanted to chase after it, but after taking that first step, hesitation ultimately prevailed. He slowly drew his foot back. But now, when he truly wanted to stop the carriage, why couldn't he hold it back anymore? With a thud, he fell to his knees, the shocked cries of his subordinates sounding distorted in his ears. Only the gradually receding carriage remained as his entire world. When Jiyu Zhaoyang returned to the GU residence, Song Jian had already gone to bed. He went straight to the detached courtyard, the place where I was once imprisoned. Pushing open the door, everything inside remained unchanged. Someone comes regularly to clean the swing at the courtyard entrance. He used to push Shui on it, listening to her carefree laughter. The golden foil pinwheel stuck beside the small table. Shui used to run around the whole courtyard holding it, giggling as she watched it spin. If it breaks, I'll just make her a new one. Pushing open the door to the inner room, he saw Shui sitting blushing on the cushioned chair by the window, reading aloud. My sweetheart came on hobbyhorse, circling the well, playing with green plums. Then suddenly noticing him, she shyly hid her face behind the book, only to peek at him with those bright eyes moments later. Those moments that would later bring a smile to your face were once thought to be the ordinary days of a lifetime, until the GU family was reduced to ashes overnight, and he could never return to the past. Even in the Wen family, Shui treated him just as before, yet that heart had already changed. He craved power and fame, seeking revenge and settling grudges. Those carefree days with Shui in the past were ultimately just childhood naivety. No matter how composed he appeared on the surface, he always harbored a simmering resentment in his heart, the frustration of being unable to protect one's family. He must climb to the highest peak, to hold power over life and death, rather than having his own fate controlled by others. He kills when killing is needed. He robs when robbing is required, even if it's the Wen family, even if this is the book's essence. He declared, "Better I betray the world than let the world betray me." Manipulating everyone like puppets in his hands, how could he have known then that some people must never be wounded, some people must never be used? Once I act, I'll regret it for the rest of my life. He picked up the book that Shui had once read, that year, by the latticed window where she read love poems. She tucked a leaf between its pages. The wind blew past. The door opened. He jerked his head up. Shui, only bitter wind and cold rain entered. The leaf was also blown to the ground. He let out a bitter laugh. Those childhood days were long gone. During those 7 years by the old emperor's side, he never liked me. First, I was driven to the brink of madness, and he despised me for it. Second, there were too many young women around him who knew how to please him. To him, I was utterly dispensable. Fortunately, after my mental state improved, I did become more composed and reliable in my work. He had grown old and no longer harbored much interest in romantic affairs, so he began treating me as an assistant, sorting memorials, serving tea, reading aloud for him. Thus, I came to know his second son, the son he disliked the most, even fresh from triumph. Just for accidentally knocking off the crown prince's jade pendant, Xie Chang'an could be made to kneel all night in the rain. The emperor asked if I thought this was cruel. I lowered my eyes demurely. A father disciplining his son is only right and proper. After stepping outside, he tilted the umbrella slightly toward Xie Chang'an. You need someone who has influence before His Majesty. He paused. I beg her ladyship the noble consort for her grace. Xie Chang'an once asked me. He was the least favored among the imperial princes. By choosing him, aren't you afraid that one day another prince might ascend the throne and purge you along with him? I smiled. The one I choose shall be emperor. As expected, the The crown prince was discovered plotting rebellion before the late emperor's passing. Second in line became Xie Chang'an. Leaning back in the soft chair, I closed my eyes to contemplate the next steps. A thin blanket lay draped over me. I opened my eyes. Xie Chang'an's cool gaze was absently fixed upon me. The moment our eyes met, he immediately averted his. Before the late emperor was buried, Xie Chang'an could only assume imperial authority but not ascend the throne. Once the funeral rites were completed, everything would return to normal. Yet on the final day of the mourning vigil, someone forced their way into the funeral hall, cursing loudly before everyone present. I stared in astonishment at Song Jian's heavily pregnant belly, frowning. Madam Gu, shouting before the late emperor's spirit tablet, "Do you think your life and your unborn child's are too long?" She let out a cold laugh. Ha! This matter can only be spoken of before the late emperor's spirit tablet. Did the late emperor know that as his woman, you were entangled with his son? What? All the officials were still present. Hearing this, they abruptly raised their heads, the imperial concubine and the late emperor's son. What's going on here? The mourning hall immediately erupted into chaos. I frowned as I looked at Song Jian. She looked somewhat haggard. Her condition was almost identical to mine when I learned my father and brother had been falsely accused of treason days earlier. My lords, the noble consort has been involved with His Highness Prince Su, the second Prince Xie Chang'an, who is about to ascend the throne. How dare such a vile temptress of imperial heirs presume to guard the late emperor's spirit? How dare you? Ah Ying frowned. How dare you slander the noble consort, drag her out and beat her to death? Ha, if I'm truly lying. When Shuyi, with the late emperor's burial tomorrow, would you dare to be buried alongside him? Everyone turned to look at me. After all, it's already the rule that those who carry the coffin must be buried alive with the deceased. If you dare let everyone watch as you lie down in the coffin to accompany the late emperor in death, then whether I kill you or cut you to pieces is entirely up to me. Noble consort, you will be buried alive tomorrow, won't you? Some officials were already beginning to suspect. Yes, Your Highness Consort Yang, this concerns the dignity of the royal family. We must hold a public burial ceremony tomorrow. I clenched my fists. The original arrangement was for only the funeral procession and sacrificial attendants to enter the imperial mausoleum. Xie Chang'an and I had long since made all the necessary preparations. The team was replaced with his own people. If this were made public, the truth would naturally come out. Yet the civil and military officials present had already been incited. Song Jian laughed heartily. When Shuyi, this is the will of the people. Don't tell me you lack even the courage to be seen entering your own coffin. Enough. A familiar figure burst into the funeral hall. Slap. A resounding blow landed on Song Jian's face. Jiyu Zhaoyang clenched his teeth. Who gave you permission to spout nonsense before the late emperor's spirit? Ah Yang, She was caught off guard when her mute acupoint was sealed. Jiyu Zhaoyang bowed to the assembled civil and military officials. My apologies, honorable ministers. My foolish wife suffered a shock recently and has gone mad. She accidentally escaped and disturbed your gathering. I sincerely apologize. Song Jian's eyes widened in disbelief. Jiyu Zhaoyang forcibly picked her up, and I saw Song Jian struggling frantically. That very night, Jiyu Zhaoyan's men visited the residences of all the officials. By the next day, no one dared mention holding a public funeral anymore. By the time the funeral procession ended, darkness had completely fallen. All the officials had gone home, only Jiyu Zhaoyang remained behind. I frowned. Though I'd already changed my attire completely, no one would recognize me now. Yet Jiyu Zhaoyang still spotted me instantly. Just as we were about to pass each other, he called out to me, "Forgive me." I didn't stop. His voice trembled slightly. "I'm doing everything I can to make amends. Please, give me a chance." I closed my eyes briefly. Of course I understood what he meant. I knew perfectly well why Song Jian had gone mad and caused a scene at the late emperor's memorial hall. Jiyu Zhaoyang was a viper. The way he treated me back then wouldn't change just because he'd switched targets. Song Jian's life these years probably hasn't been as glamorous as it appeared on the surface. Jiyu Zhaoyang excels at driving people mad without showing any emotion. How could I not see through Song Jian's reason for causing a scene at the memorial hall? Don't worry, Song Jian's little tantrum won't affect you in the slightest. I sighed. I understood what he meant. He had already settled this matter for me. What his men did when they entered those lords' homes that night, my informants had certainly told me all about it. Unnecessary. He froze for a moment upon hearing my words. My people will handle these matters. There's no need for Your Excellency the Chief Grand Secretary to intervene. He let out a bitter laugh. Indeed, I've been working with Xie Chang'an for years. How could this matter possibly be unresolved? But I can't let you bear the infamy, especially when that person is my wife in name. I closed my eyes. Stop pestering me. Prime Minister, if you truly repent sincerely, pretending not to know me would be the most helpful thing you could do for me, i.e. His eyes turned red. Are you giving me no chance at all? My retreating figure gave him the answer. In that case, I heard danger in his voice. Then I must apologize. Something pricked my neck. I turned my head in surprise. A needle flew out from his sleeve. I clutched my neck, my legs beginning to give way. Jiyu Zhaoyang. He steadied me firmly in his embrace. Anyway, you're already lying in the late emperor's coffin. Buried alongside him now, aren't you? I opened my mouth, wanting to cry for help, but this was the imperial mausoleum. There was hardly anyone around. Xie Chang'an was waiting for me far away, completely unaware of what was happening here. Xie Chang. Before I could finish speaking, I completely passed out. When I woke up again, I felt momentarily disoriented. Sunshine, warm breeze, windmills, Osmanthus cakes, poetry books. Did I travel back to my childhood? But when Jiyu Zhaoyan's face appeared by the bedside, I understood that wasn't the case, because my hands were tied to the headboard. You're awake. Do you like it here? He gently stroked my cheek. It's all recreated exactly as we remembered from childhood. Let me go. I avoided his hand. He laughed. No, right now is when you resist me the most. If I let you go, you'll definitely find a way to leave me. Even, his Adam's apple bobbed. I would rather die than yield. I clenched my teeth. He leaned down, pressing his forehead against mine, his voice tender as if we'd returned to those days before the Jiyu family was falsely accused. Don't be afraid, Shuyi. All people and matters that could interfere with us have been dealt with by your husband. Song Jian won't disturb us anymore. She's already gone. My body stiffened. I knew Jiyu Zhaoyan's methods all too well. I dare not even imagine what Song Jian looked like before her death. No one would suspect Jiyu Zhaoyang had anything to do with Song Jian's death, just as no one initially believed my madness had any connection to him. A bitter smile surfaced on my lips. You're disgusting. He froze momentarily, then broke into laughter. It doesn't matter, Shuyi. You're allowed to hate me. A lifetime is long. There'll be plenty of time to mend what's been broken. I promise, we'll be the happiest couple. I turned my head away, avoiding his hand, thinking Xie Chang'an would come. He laughed. Today is the coronation ceremony. My breath caught. He pinched my chin, forcing me to look at him. The former crown prince has been released now. I opened my eyes wide. That's right. It was your husband who did it. He laughed. In order to inherit the throne as soon as possible and prevent his elder brother the crown prince from getting ahead, he wouldn't come looking for you, someone everyone believes is already dead. You, Shuyi, don't be foolish. He leaned down. That is the imperial throne, the most supreme power in this world. No man can resist that feeling. His breath lingered by my ear. But I'd resist it for you. Jiyu Zhaoyang is no longer the chief minister. He's already vanished without a trace. His eyes brimmed with tenderness on the verge of overflowing. From now on, there will be no Wen Shui nor Jiyu Zhaoyang in this world. There will only be an ordinary fishing couple in a borderland town. Tears fell unwittingly from the corners of her eyes. He gently kissed it away for me. I.e., say you love me, get lost. I clenched my teeth. He forcibly gripped my chin. It doesn't matter. I can wait a lifetime for you to say you love me. With that, he leaned down to kiss me. But suddenly, the clashing of weapons sounded outside the door. The cries of guards falling to the ground rose one after another. The warmth in Jiyu Zhaoyan's eyes instantly turned icy. The door was kicked open with a crash. Xie Chang'an, I cried out hoarsely. Xie Chang'an gripped his long sword, silencing the last guard blocking the doorway with a single lethal stroke. His black robes reeked of blood as he fixed his demonic gaze upon us. Jiyu Zhaoyang, Xie Chang'an was a veteran of countless battles. His martial arts surpassed Jiyu Zhaoyan's. Jiyu Zhaoyang soon spat out a mouthful of blood, dropping to one knee on the ground. Shuyi. Xie Chang'an seized the opportunity to bypass him and quickly untied me. No, there's something in his sleeve. I had just spoken when his neck suddenly went numb. Xie Chang'an. I threw away the rope and swiftly pulled out the silver needle embedded in his neck, but it was already too late. Jiyu Zhaoyang rose to his feet, blood staining the corner of his lips. He threw the hidden mechanism from his sleeve onto the table. Daring to come on such an important day as the new emperor's ascension, so sentimental, Xie Chang'an. He sneered coldly at Xie Chang'an. Serves you right for losing to your crown prince brother. Cough. Xie Chang'an spat out a mouthful of blood, clutching his neck. He collapsed limply. I hurriedly caught him in my arms. Jiyu Zhaoyang pointed his long sword at Xie Chang'an. Shuyi, come with me. You wouldn't want his head to roll, would you? Books, meaning, Xie Chang'an could barely speak. Go. Jiyu Zhaoyang frowned with displeasure. I clenched my teeth. Go, Shuyi, go. I burst into laughter. Then let's go together. With those words, I threw myself onto the long sword. Blood splattered everywhere. Shuyi. The long sword abruptly withdrew. Jiyu Zhaoyang stared at me in disbelief. Have you lost your mind? Jiyu Zhaoyang reacted swiftly. At the moment my neck was about to touch the sword, I swiftly pulled back, yet it still grazed my forehead. Do it, Jiyu Zhaoyang. I clenched my teeth and glared at him. Jiyu Zhaoyan's sword trembled slightly. Do it, just like you did to my father and brother, just like you did to me. Do it. I grabbed his hand directly and pulled it toward myself. Enough. The long sword fell to the ground. His eyes were red, his breath trembling. Slowly, he looked toward us. A brocade pouch was thrown to the ground. Jiyu Zhaoyang stared at us. Antidote. With that, he turned and left. Jiyu Zhaoyang wasn't lying, it was truly the antidote. After taking it, Xie Chang'an indeed recovered. Yet the succession ceremony was ultimately missed. The crown prince won't let us go, so we could only think of escape routes for ourselves. Faking death might be a good choice. Yet before we could leave, the palace guards arrived swiftly at this border town. All civil and military officials knelt in unison, pleading with Xie Chang'an to ascend the throne immediately. Where is the crown prince? Xie Chang'an frowned. The crown prince was assassinated and succumbed to his wounds. Who did this? I froze. The assassin has not yet been apprehended. Prince Su. The nation cannot be without a ruler for even a day. Your Highness must ascend the throne immediately. Xie Chang'an took my hand and led me onto the carriage returning to the palace. Halfway there, I lifted the curtain to look outside. A figure clad entirely in black robes passed by our carriage. He didn't raise his head, his face obscured from view. Yet the familiar feeling made me steal a few extra glances. His long sword was drenched in blood. It was the very blade Jiyu Zhaoyang had been carrying. For some reason, I actually had a fleeting suspicion that Crown Prince Jiyu Zhaoyang might be the killer, but I quickly shook my head. Impossible. The carriage disappeared into the distance. The man in black halted. He turned his head, watching the carriage grow more distant. He smiled. smiling until tears began to fall. 7 years ago, he should have chased that carriage back. The cabin door swung open. The blood had long dried. Guard corpses lay strewn haphazardly. He stood at the door, blood still beaded on his face. Shuyi, our little cottage, it's been defiled. With those words, he collapsed to the ground. During the assassination attempt on the crown prince, hadn't he also suffered severe injuries? Yet he still mustered his last ounce of strength to return here. This place resembled most closely their childhood home. To die here, like dying in childhood. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. Everyone in Guangling City says Xie Qingxi is blessed with good fortune, because he has an extraordinary elder brother who covers for him in everything. When Xie Qingxi skipped school, his brother brought dried meat to apologize to the teacher in person. When Xie Qingxi fled from debts, his brother personally went to the gambling den to settle his accounts. Even Nurse Zhao couldn't help sighing while threading my face. The eldest young master excels in everything, while the second truly disappoints. If this marriage arrangement had been made with the eldest, how overjoyed the master and mistress would have been. I instead cheerfully comforted Nurse Zhao. Though the eldest is so outstanding, the second may not necessarily be inferior. To this day, Xie Qingxi skipped his own wedding just to please his childhood sweetheart, leaving me, the bride who'd traveled far, waiting endlessly in the bridal sedan. As the auspicious hour passed, all the guests craned their necks, eagerly watching the spectacle and whispering among themselves, as the saying goes. Daughters marry with heads held high while brides enter with bowed heads. Just wait for that Shen girl to start wailing. Inside the sedan chair, I neither cried nor made a scene. She merely lifted her eyes from behind the fan, tilting her head curiously to look at Dalang. Playing truant or dodging debts were one thing. But how was Dalang going to clean up after his brother's runaway marriage? TSK. This Miss Shen truly has a gentle temper, not even crying or making a scene despite all this. As for bad temper, it wasn't as if I didn't have one myself, but what intrigued me more was how Xie Qingkai, the eldest son, would clean up after his younger brother this time. As the servants searched everywhere in vain, Xie's parents grew so anxious they couldn't sit still. After scouring the entire mansion, only Xie Erlang's personal attendant Chuncha was found weeping bitterly, reporting he'd discovered a letter of divorce and a large sheet of paper in the study. The paper bore but a few lines, yet they overflowed with contempt and loathing directed at me. The wife I, Xie Qingxi, will marry must be beautiful, gentle, cheerful, and good-tempered. But rumors are spreading everywhere. This Shen girl from Wu Commandery is said to be shrewish, foolish, and troublesome. She's nowhere near as good as Jiyu Ua. I don't want her. That Ua was written thick and dark, pressing through the paper, looking even uglier than old Master Xie's expression. Father Xie flew into a rage, cursing his son as a vile beast and blaming Mother Xie for spoiling second son too much, allowing him to disgrace the Xie family. Mother Xie bowed her head, clutching a handkerchief to wipe her tears, when suddenly she spotted Xie Qingkai, their eldest son, calming the guests. It was as if she had seen a lifeline. Qingkai, what should we do now? Your brother has gotten into trouble again. As his elder brother, you must find a way to help him. The Xie family was frantic with worry, while the surrounding guests made heartless remarks. If she's been sent back by her husband's family before even entering their door, this Shen girl must have some moral failing. TSK, moral failing or not, who'd dare marry her now that she's tainted? No one knew what the Xie family discussed behind closed doors, so long that I tilted my head back and let out a faint yawn inside the bridal sedan. Through tearful eyes, I saw the golden tassels of my veil tremble slightly as the sedan door was lifted a crack. It was Xie Qingkai. Having traveled 5 days by water to marry far away in Guangling, I was utterly exhausted and only caught fragments of what he said. Xie Qingkai, filled with apology and guilt. First bowed deeply and softly made amends on behalf of second Lang. When he straightened up and saw the tear at the corner of my eye, he froze in surprise. He asked if I would consider remarrying him. If I didn't find him beneath me, his question left me somewhat at a loss as well. If I agree, it might make me seem too easygoing. But if I refuse, I'll have to endure another 5-day boat journey back. Besides, on my wedding day, my parents wept bitterly for a long time. If I go back only to marry again, wouldn't that make them grieve twice over? Not to mention Nanny Zhao often says my parents always regretted that I didn't marry the eldest Xie son, that thoroughly capable and reliable young man. I couldn't make up my mind about remarrying right away, but I could clearly tell the difference between grieving my parents twice versus making them happy twice. Only after reaching this understanding did I nod my head to step down from the bridal sedan. Then I remembered Mother's parting words when I left home last time. The bride is most noble and reserved, others must plead thrice before she grants a slight nod. I had intended to act haughtily aloof, lest they think me easily manipulated. But then the sedan curtain lifted. Erlang's wedding robes didn't fit properly, so Xie Qingkai before me appeared constrained and awkward, all limbs stiffly confined. I couldn't help but laugh softly behind my folding fan. Well, that laugh gave me away completely, so I simply lowered the fan covering my face and asked him earnestly while suppressing another laugh. Then, is there a girl you fancy? No. Then do you have any secret lovers or childhood sweethearts? Absolutely none. Fearing I wouldn't believe him, Xie Qingkai earnestly added, nor will there ever be. I thought for a moment, then nodded. Fine then, seeing me quietly step down from the bridal sedan, holding the red silk ribbon, bowing to heaven and earth, kneeling before my parents-in-law, the gathered guests whispered among themselves before gradually quieting down, offering their full-throated congratulations and blessings. A few disapproving collateral relatives of the Xie family pointed fingers and muttered under their breath about how improper it all was, but was interrupted by an elderly Xie family patriarch stroking his beard and chuckling merrily. My eldest grandson is truly blessed. Such a good-tempered and sensible wife is something my own grandson couldn't even hope to obtain. This matter of marriage affinity, you may find its perfect symmetry displeasing. Yet for others it fits just right, though truth be told, they weren't particularly well matched either. For instance, on the eve of my wedding, Mother feared my gentle nature might leave me vulnerable to mistreatment. Under the lamplight, she took my hand and carefully imparted her wisdom. The maidens of Wu Commandery are noble creatures. You must carry yourself with the dignity befitting a new bride. First criticize how his learning and looks fall short of his brothers. Then find fault with their vulgar furnishings and unpalatable cuisine. If someone treats you with genuine kindness and doesn't anger you, then you should return that kindness with all your heart. Understand? I didn't quite grasp her meaning and asked curiously in return, Mother, what is genuine kindness? How can I tell? Mother poked my forehead with her finger and scolded me angrily, calling me a fool. For us business folks, sincerity is like banknotes and land deeds. Just learn from me. Child, this is exactly how your mother keeps your father wrapped around her finger. Father by the window remained silent, simply watching Mother with a smile. Seeing my dull-wittedness, Mother sighed and asked Nurse Zhao to bring the manual, teaching me to memorize the words meant to challenge Xie Qingzi on our wedding night. He's not as good as his elder brother. The eldest son is steady and humble, and capable of managing the Xie family's salt shops. They say his garden is extravagant but lacks refined taste, truly vulgar, only barely livable. As I flipped through the booklet about Xie Qingzi, noticing his beautifully painted pictures, I softly retorted, Mother's wrong, second young master isn't bad either. When compared side by side with Dalang and Erlang, Mother grew more and more distressed as she spoke. Nanny Zhao, however, did her best to comfort Mother. Our eldest young miss is beautiful and gentle. always smiling with such a sweet temper, unless it's some bald-headed monk from the temple, who wouldn't take a liking to her. Besides, the Xie family's master and madam dote on their second son. If she were to marry the eldest son, she'd likely suffer from her sisters-in-law's mistreatment. This was the truth. After all, when Xie Qingxi was 16, the Xie family gifted him an entire garden estate, not to mention rare flowers and exotic plants, even the glass screen bestowed by the palace. The golden chiming clock and RU porcelain were nothing extraordinary in his household. As I stepped out of the sedan chair, I caught sight of Erlang's magnificent mansion gate, its opulence striking, while the distant melodies of rehearsing musicians playing shengpipes and drums reached my ears. Yet just across the street, Dalang Xie Qingkai possessed nothing at all. His residence, though spacious, stood hollow and desolate, devoid of any semblance of a home. No flowers bloomed in the courtyard, no fire burned upon the stove, and not even soft, thick bedding graced the beds. Reading this, my heart suddenly skipped a beat. Oh no, I'd been too busy laughing at Xie Qingkai wearing those tiny clothes earlier, now sitting properly behind the old gauze curtain. I suddenly remembered Mother had only taught me how to humiliate second brother. No one taught me how to belittle Xie Qingkai. Before I could ponder further, Xie Qingkai had already lifted the bridal veil and handed me a cup of wedding wine. Seeing me hesitate to take it for so long, Xie Qingkai thought I regretted my decision. After a moment of silence, he took out a small box and presented it to me. If Miss Shen regrets this, just consider me standing in for Qingxi during the ceremony. Our marriage won't count. It's my fault and the Xie family's fault for wronging you. Beyond this, I'll do everything in my power to make amends. The box opened to reveal a stack of property deeds and banknotes, what Mother would call true sincerity. Xie Qingkai, seems you don't understand propriety after all. Do you want me to pick faults with you first, so you can then bring out a box of sincerity to treat me? Holding that box of sincerity, I hadn't even had time to explain. But outside the courtyard, officials were summoning Xie Qingkai to Pengcheng to assist in investigating a salt tax case. Erlang's servant, Chun Ti, stood at the door with a mournful face. Young master, it's second young master who caused trouble again. Fearing the authorities wouldn't let it go, master and mistress claimed it was your mistake. The master said if you can't settle this matter before New Year's, you'd better not come home, lest you anger His Majesty. These words made me feel indignant on Xie Qingqi's behalf. What biased parents! Why does Erlang live in gardens while Dalang gets empty courtyards? Why must Dalang bear the blame for Erlang's mistakes? Yet Xie Qingkai seemed long accustomed to his parents' favoritism. His face showed no sorrow, just a calm reply. I see. That small wooden box resting on my lap felt like a weight pressing against my heart, unbearably heavy. Oh right. I almost forgot to mention. I hastily grabbed his sleeve and blurted out, Erlang isn't as good as Dalang. Dalang is steady and modest, and is capable enough to manage the salt shop business. Looking at the bare room, I simply couldn't bring myself to utter that remaining word, extravagant. Dalang froze. As if no one had ever said such things to him before, he gazed at me for a long while, then faintly curved his lips into a smile. Thank you for your kind words, Miss Shen. When seeing Xie Qingkai off, the night outside was deep and heavy with dew. The road was empty of pedestrians, save for 4 or 5 beggars huddled against the wall, shrinking their heads and arching their backs against the wind. In the deep autumn night, a thin, cold mist lingered. I wrapped myself in a thick cloak, breathing lightly onto my hands, fingertips still icy cold. Yet Xie Qingkai had no one to pack his luggage or prepare warm clothes for him. Thinking of my father who was always traveling far for trade, I couldn't help but imitate my mother's manner and ask one more question. How long until you return? Xie Qingkai softened his indifferent expression and gave me a gentle smile. I'll be back as soon as possible, no later than 2 months. I counted the days. 2 months would land right on New Year's Eve. and I felt genuinely happy for him. That's perfect timing, you'll make it back for the reunion dinner. Xie Qingkai seemed unaccustomed to being cared for, momentarily taken aback. You'll wait for me to come back, I nodded with a beaming smile. Of course, you've already entrusted me with a whole box of sincerity. By all rights, it's now my turn to treat you with all my heart. Looking at my smiling face, Xie Qingkai hesitated for a moment before speaking. Miss Shen, wait for me at home these 2 months. Don't meet him. Who shouldn't I meet? My younger brother. Xie Qingzi. Is he not good enough? No. Xie Qingkai tightened the reins, his expression obscured in the mist. Precisely because he's too good. The sound of hoofbeats faded away as the heavy gates closed behind them. The quiet street echoed only with sporadic barks from dogs. Ah, look at that Shen girl with her charming eyes and brows. Not just Dalang, even I wouldn't be able to tear myself away. Did you see how that girl smiled in her bridal sedan? TSK. Erlang couldn't take his eyes off her. Isn't she exactly Erlang's favorite type? Several beggar-dressed figures by the wall all turned to look at Xie Qingzi, who remained silent. Jiyu nudged Xie Qingzi, disguised as a vagrant, with her elbow and teased him pointedly. Someone was all talk about making the Shen family girl suffer and putting on a show for the brothers. Regretting it now, aren't you? Struck right in his conscience, Xie Qingzi said nothing. Just now, he saw the Shen family maiden on the bridal sedan chair hiding her face behind a round fan. Her smiling eyes peeking through the golden tassels, his heart suddenly sank, leaving him hollow and despondent. It was Xie Qingzi's childhood friend Sima Shoro who couldn't bear to see his buddy suffer, who says Qingzi regrets it. His elder brother merely stood in for him at the wedding ceremony. Once Qingzi makes his move, won't that Shen family maiden obediently fall at his feet? Pan Lu Deng Xiaoxian, except for the donkey part. Brothers wouldn't know, when it comes to wealth, leisure, tenderness, and attentiveness. How is Qingzi any less than that wooden brother of hers? These words gradually brightened Xie Qingzi's disheartened heart. In the past, her parents and elder brother always scolded her for being a spoiled playgirl. But now it seemed that wasn't entirely a bad thing. At least he wasn't as dull and rigid as his elder brother Xie Qingkai, who had never even touched a woman's hand. He could try to win the favor of the Shen family's young lady. Besides, she was originally the wife his parents had chosen for him. Moreover, Xie Erlang had never stumbled when it came to romantic affairs or women. Though his heart had already yielded, Xie Qingzi's mouth still refused to admit defeat. Let me go and test her first. If she's good, I'll keep her for myself. If she's no good, I'll just toss her to my brother. After all, mother and father always favor me anyway. Xie Qingkai had warned me not to meet his younger brother. But his words left me utterly bewildered. But the urgent task now was to tidy up this empty and dilapidated house. By the time Xie Qingkai returned, it would finally look like a home. Yet for 2 or 3 days in a row, small groups of people kept gathering outside Xie Qingzi's residence across the way, peering curiously in my direction. There was even a young woman named Ji Yu, who claimed to be Xie Qingzi's close friend, sending over a formal visiting card. Remembering Xie Qingzi's instructions and preoccupied with selecting craftsmen and servants, I declined all visitors one by one. The maids and servants were easy to find, but skilled craftsmen proved difficult to come by. I reviewed many blueprints but found none satisfactory. They were either too vulgar or too outdated. On a winter afternoon, I sprawled over the drawings, growing drowsy as I studied them. Suddenly, one design caught my eye. Its pavilions and towers were tasteful. And even the choice of plants matched my preferences perfectly. Seeing I'd chosen this craftsman, the steward's expression turned troubled. Is his price too high? No, he says the payment depends entirely on the young lady's goodwill. Is his schedule fully booked then? It's not that. He said he's only waiting for Miss to make the selection. Then what's the difficulty? He fancies himself somewhat talented. The garden's construction and purchases must be done together with Miss. Fearing that if Miss chooses the wrong rocks or plants, the garden won't look good and he'll be blamed. His explanation made perfect sense. Yet as I looked at the shabbily dressed youth standing below the steps wearing a veiled hat, I still felt somewhat hesitant. Noticing my hesitation, the young man chuckled softly and spoke, "Is Madam from Wu Commandery?" Hearing my native dialect in a foreign land, I felt a surge of familiarity and quickly asked, "Are you also from Wu Commandery?" He removed his wide-brimmed hat, revealing a strikingly beautiful face. He bowed slightly in greeting, displaying perfect propriety and decorum. "My name is Xie Ji, from Guangling. I studied at the Wu Commandery Academy for 2 years with the eldest son of the Xie family, and we became quite close. In terms of family relations, I should actually address him as elder brother. It turned out to be a cousin from the same clan. All matters concerning the garden were handed over to Xie Ji. These days I've realized he understands everything and has a unique perspective. Counterfeit antique calligraphy and paintings that deceive collectors, inferior plants and tiles passed off as premium quality." He drank his tea without saying a word, and those clerks flushed red-faced as they sheepishly put away the inferior goods. On the way back, I counted through a stack of order slips, unable to hide my admiration for Xie Ji. "Xie Ji, you're so capable." I was ready to pay up. "But with just one look from you, they didn't dare cheat me." "What capability is that? If this doesn't count as skill, then what does?" Xie Ji seemed to think of someone and let out a self-deprecating laugh. "Managing households and businesses like Dalang, or achieving scholarly honors, only practical things count as real skills. But to me, reading countless books is just as impressive as you instantly recognizing the quality of that timber earlier," I said admiringly. Genuinely impressed by his ability, "The foreman said your wages depend on my discretion, but I believe you deserve the highest pay." Xie Ji's lips curled into a smile at my praise, like a proud peacock. "This is nothing. When it comes to jewelry, silks, ancient books, or calligraphy, I'm even more impressive." Just as she mentioned silks, we happened to pass by a fabric shop. I tugged at Xie Ji's sleeve. "Teach me how to pick good fabric. I want to send winter clothes to Dalang." Seeing me carrying 4 or 5 bolts of fabric, Xie Ji took them from me, her tone tinged with a hint of jealousy. "You're truly fortunate, Dalang. I've never heard of anyone freezing to death in Pengcheng. Why buy so many?" When I held up a bolt of pale blue silk against him, Xie Ji turned her head away unhappily. "Dalang looks best in black. There's no need to compare him to me." "No, this bolt is for you." I smiled at him, feigning hesitation. "But I suppose no one's ever frozen to death in Guangling. Perhaps we should forget it." Xie Ji froze for a moment, then suddenly clung to the silk bolt like a petulant child, refusing to let go. "It's been bitterly cold this year. Poor craftsmen might freeze to death." Seeing me laugh, he chuckled sheepishly too. The sky was grey when cold rain began falling outside. The tavern's crimson lanterns glowed warmly through the mist. A steaming hot pot arrived at our table, followed by a jug of warmed wine and salted goose we hadn't ordered. "That's from the young lady over there," the server said. I turned my head to look. The young lady smiled warmly as she came over to take my arm. Casting a glance at Xie Ji, "Sister-in-law gave me the cold shoulder last time, and now you don't even recognize me." It was Jiyu, the childhood sweetheart Xie Qingzi had mentioned. Seeing my apology, Jiyu didn't seem to mind, only giving Xie Ji a meaningful look. "Sister-in-law should also be careful. Some members of the Xie family are idle and unaccomplished, specializing in deception and fraud." As Jiyu spoke, the young men at her table burst into mocking laughter. Noticing their veiled insults and disrespect toward Xie Ji, my face immediately darkened as I set down my chopsticks. "I don't know who you're talking about, but Xie Ji isn't that kind of person. He's sincere and highly capable. Please don't speak of him that way again, Miss Ji." Seeing my furious outburst, the youths at the table whispered among themselves. How strange, wasn't it said that this Shen girl had no temper? Damn it, doesn't he hate temperamental girls the most? Why hasn't he left yet? Xie gently tugged at my sleeve and placed a slice of salted goose in my bowl, urging me not to get angry. Their salted goose and wine are among Guangling's finest. Try some quickly. Who cares about her salted goose? I got angry and glared at Xie too. Eat what? You're not allowed to eat either. Xie froze for a moment, then obediently set down her chopsticks with a smile. All right, I won't eat any more. I'll be angry with you. The carriage rocked unsteadily as raindrops drifted in through the window. Xie was still busy trying to cheer me up. Anger harms the body. It's not worth ruining your health over someone like me. Strangely enough, you weren't angry when the Xie family's second son abandoned you on your wedding night, nor when that unscrupulous merchant cheated you just now. Why would you get so furious over me for no reason? The more I thought about it, the more my heart ached for Xie. Because you're good, that's why I can't let them speak of you like that. It's all my fault. I should have seen it the first time I met you. You had no decent clothes to wear, no place to stay, and were bullied and ostracized by these people, so you couldn't find work to support yourself. Xie, all these years alone, has it been very hard for you? Xie didn't speak, just stared at me blankly for a long, long time, so long that the rain dampened his shoulders, yet he remained completely unaware. Seeing me lean in to examine his expression, Xie turned his head away, his face suddenly flushing red like drunken shrimp. He gripped the fabric on his knees uncomfortably. Don't look at me. I think I'm sick, and quite seriously ill at that. This is truly dreadful. He was indeed seriously ill, wrapped in a thick cloak, holding a bowl of ginger soup, and sneezing incessantly. The side room he stayed in had only thin bedding, so I brought him a thick fox fur coat to cover him. Fearing his condition might worsen, the rain dripped coldly from the eaves, the winter chill seeping deep into one's bones. Outside the courtyard stood the magnolia tree transplanted just the day before, but alas, it stood bare, still too early in the season to show any beauty. A small stove inside held a pot of ginger soup to ward off the chill, its flickering flames casting light on Xie's face, half of his expression hidden in shadow. Luckily it was me who got caught in the rain and fell ill today, not Dalang, otherwise Madam would have worried. There was something odd about how he said it. I nodded, that's right. Thankfully Dalang didn't fall ill. It must be snowing in Pengcheng by now. I wonder if he's added more layers. Hearing my words, Xie became inexplicably angry, setting the bowl of ginger soup on the table in a huff and refusing to drink it. I suppose the ginger must have been too spicy. Angry at the ginger soup, Xie pulled the thin quilt over her head and muttered incoherently, "Actually, you must have been quite relieved when the Xie family's second son ran away from the wedding. Sparing you from marrying him. After all, everyone says the second son is no good, lacking promise, nowhere near as capable as his elder brother. Now it works out perfectly. You can marry his brother instead." Holding the ginger tea, I pondered for a moment before earnestly objecting. It's not like that. The matchmaker originally spoke of the eldest son, praising how capable and impressive he was, while saying the second son had been spoiled rotten by his family and amounted to nothing. But when I saw the second son's sketchbook, I happened to think he was wonderful, skilled at painting, and his garden designs were so elegant. I'm not particularly ambitious either. I thought with the eldest managing the Xie household, the second son and I could live carefree lives together. But I never expected he'd heard some rumor from somewhere and took a strong dislike to me. Xie suddenly popped her head out from the fox fur wrap, her bright eyes gazing at me urgently. Do you really think he's good, truly? If Erlang returns and says he still wants to, no, rejected by me. Xie's sparkling eyes dimmed momentarily as she pressed further. What if Dalang changes his heart? If he changes his heart, I'll sell his sincerity for cash and return to Wu Commandery, no loss for me. When I didn't respond, Xie's gaze grew subtly complex. As we spoke, A maid announced from outside that Xie Qingqi's letter had arrived. The letter said he'd already written to his parents-in-law, telling them not to worry. When he returns to Guangling, he must take me back to Wu Commandery to see my parents. He also sent along a stack of local specialties from Pengcheng. I happily handed the letter to Xie Ji, but he only sneered and refused to take it. Xie Ji, is there any news from Guangling worth telling, eldest brother? Xie Ji thought of something and smiled delightedly. The garden has been beautifully landscaped. So naturally I wanted to inform Brother Xie. When Madame addresses me as Aji in her letter, Brother Xie will know it's me. Outside the curtain, a night of winter rain falls in a steady drizzle. Xie Qingci thought he should also write a letter to tell his elder brother about the novelties of Guangling. For instance, the young lady of the Shun family shares a close bond with him. She calls you Qing Kai, yet she uses his childhood name Aji for him. For instance, he received a piece of clothing, likely hand-sewn by the Shun family's young lady, who feared he might catch cold, hence the meticulous and thoughtful stitching. For instance, when he fell ill, she meticulously sliced ginger, and the fur robe he covered himself with carried the fragrance of magnolia from her body, as if he were enveloped in her embrace. If one were to write only of such things, it wouldn't suffice to show brotherly affection. One ought to offer a bit of genuine sincerity in seeking reconciliation. Elder brother, truth be told, all these years I've been deeply envious of you, envious of how you handle everything with such care and completeness, how parents, teachers, and friends all praise you as better than me, and I could only act like a clown, competing with you for our parents' love, for the garden, for precious treasures. Yet you didn't care about anything, yielding everything willingly, making my victories feel hollow. How laughable it is to win yet gain nothing at all. But elder brother, from now on I won't contend with you anymore. I'll give you the garden, the treasures, and the entire Xie family fortune. Brother, won't you let me have Shenying? If you only knew that she could pick my painting from among hundreds, that this gentle-tempered girl flew into such rage for my sake, that she admires with all her heart this good-for-nothing you all see me as, even you would think us well-matched. Having written this, Xie Qingci set down his brush. The wind blew in through the window, its winter chill piercing to the bone, yet the small stove by the desk and the fox fur draped over one's shoulders made the heart boil with warmth. The door opened softly, bringing with it a roomful of warm magnolia fragrance. It was Shenying. She secretly bought that shop's signature rice wine. Smiling as she handed him a cup, Xie Qingci propped his chin on his hand, watching her cradle the wine cup and take small, delicate sips. Xie Qingci wanted to remind her that drinking rice wine under the evening breeze could easily make one drunk, but it was already too late. She was already drunk. When thoroughly intoxicated, she didn't make a fuss, just gazed at him with a dazed smile, nodding obediently to whatever he said. Do you really think Erlang is good? Good. If I ever deceive you about something, promise you won't be angry. Promise. If Erlang returns and says he still wants to marry, of course. Her drowsy murmurs struck his heart like thunder. Seeing his face flush crimson, she leaned in curiously, pressing her forehead against his as if mere proximity wasn't enough. Xie Qingci dared not move where she touched him. Wildfire spread across plains, as though a magnolia blossom might burst forth from his heart. As the rooftop snow collapsed with a crash, magnolias beyond the window bloomed gracefully one after another. In early summer, birds stealthily peck at cherries. In autumn, mountain creatures sip from clear springs. By the time Xie Qingci woke with a throbbing headache and sore throat, outside the window, the bare branches of magnolia stood lonely, still the harsh depths of winter. The stove fire had long died out. There was no warm wine, only a pot of cold ginger soup. He stroked the fox fur beneath him and let out a silent laugh. He truly was gravely ill. To think he'd dared hope to pluck spring blossoms in winter. When Xie Qingkai left home, autumn rains still vexed the land. By the time he returned to Guangling, Snow lay white upon white. For these 2 months, it was as if he hadn't stepped outside at all, because the young lady of the Shun family kept sending him letters, winter clothes, and all sorts of little novelties she found amusing: red bean pastries, chestnut buns, sugared crabs, salted cakes. She even managed to send along a long-necked Guangling goose. Even Transport Commissioner Lin, who was traveling with him, couldn't help teasing, "His Majesty has arranged."
"There's something I need to tell you." But then the carriage curtain was lifted, revealing Xie dressed in a moon-white gown. The maid beside Lady Xie promptly and familiarly handed over a hand warmer. "The snow is heavy today. Second master mustn't catch cold." Second master, indeed. Xie ranks second among the collateral branches of the family, yet I hadn't realized he was so intimately acquainted with the Xie family. After taking my seat, I still couldn't comprehend why Xie was permitted to sit so close to my mother-in-law. To my surprise, mother-in-law personally poured warm wine for both Xie and me. "Come, children, have a cup of wine to warm yourselves first." After Xie and I finished drinking, mother-in-law contentedly took our hands and placed them together lovingly. "Good, good, good. Now that you've shared this wine, my heart is at ease. My child was indeed unruly in the past, but his feelings for you are genuine. Don't take it to heart with him. From now on, feel free to hit or scold him until you've vented your anger." Xie didn't speak, just tilted her head and looked at me with a smile. I froze. What does this mean? Silly girl. This youngest son of mine is named Qingxi, childhood name Jia. Don't be angry. He didn't deceive you either, you just didn't ask clearly. Xie, no. Xie Qingxi flatteringly tugged at my sleeve. "Aying. You can hit me or scold me all you want, but don't be mad at me. You promised me." My mind was still in a daze, too preoccupied with my own anger. I thought of Xie Qingkai. What about Dalang then? He still has a whole box of sincerity entrusted to me. Madame Xie smiled faintly, unconcerned. "It's all right, Dalang. He's only met you once. He won't mind." That day, it was agreed he'd stand in for Qingxi at the wedding. "It's just that seeing you cry so bitterly." He took it upon himself to change his mind. Besides, we've already sent a letter to Pengcheng, and he hasn't objected. He must have agreed. He probably won't be coming back for New Year's this year either. There's no need for us to wait. The banquet had begun, with wine cups clinking amidst the lively clamor, bustling like another wedding celebration. Before me lay delicacies from land and sea, yet I couldn't bring myself to eat a bite. They say Guangling wine is sweet, but all I tasted was endless bitterness lingering on my tongue. So it turns out these years have been truly arduous. Only Xie Qingkai remained alone. As I pushed aside my cup and prepared to leave, Xie Qingxi hurried after me. He hastily reached for my sleeve, urgently pleading, "Aying, are you angry with me? Angry that I abandoned you in the bridal sedan back then? Angry that I deliberately deceived you with the name Xie? At first I was indeed despicable, thinking so poorly of you, but after spending these days together, I've come to realize how truly wonderful you are." Moonlight and snowlight reflected in his eyes, clear and bright. I believed every word he said was true. And I believed his remorse was genuine. Gazing earnestly at Xie Qingxi, I spoke softly and gently. "I'm not angry with you, Xie Qingxi, truly. You left me alone in the bridal sedan, but I wasn't angry. You deceived me with the name Xie, yet I still wasn't angry. During the banquet just now, I kept wondering why I wasn't angry. Now I understand, it's because I simply don't care about you." Xie Qingxi's face suddenly turned deathly pale, yet he still refused to give up. "Could it be that you care for my elder brother, Aying? You've only met my brother once and exchanged a few letters. That hardly makes you compatible. Yet these past days we've painted together and arranged the gardens, our tastes align perfectly. Isn't this precisely the life you've dreamed of? If you feel guilty, after we're married, I'll give my elder brother a better and bigger garden estate. Then we'll find him a good match. You've no idea how many girls in Guangling would love to marry him." Xie Qingxi was right. I may not know Daling well, but I do know he's an exceptionally good man. Yes, I've only met him once and exchanged a few letters, but at our first meeting, without knowing whether I was beautiful or plain, good or bad, he was willing to extend his hand to help me. I don't know his likes or dislikes, his past history, or whether we're truly suited for each other. All I know is that now he's been left alone in this vast world, just as I was once abandoned in that wedding sedan. Last time he rescued me, this time it's my turn to find him. Without another glance at Xie Qingxi's ashen face, I lowered the carriage curtain and instructed the coachman to detour to the ferry before heading home. Snowflakes began to fall from the sky, and in the distance, the Xie family's merchant ship could be seen moored at the dock. The boat curtain lifted. Swirling snowflakes carrying in a sweet yet biting aroma of wine. Xie Qingkai didn't know how I'd managed to find my way to the ferry crossing. Now the cold wind blew, bringing up the delayed effects of that cup of wine I'd drunk earlier. Drunk, I stumbled aboard the boat. Staggering, I fell straight into his arms, then tilted my head back angrily to demand, "Why did you come to Guangling but not return home? Do you know I've been waiting for you all this time?" Xie Qingkai was caught off guard as I crashed into his arms, momentarily speechless. After what felt like an eternity, he finally spoke with a hoarse voice, his eyes brimming with bitterness. "I thought you were like them, that you didn't want me to come back." Drunk with wine, I cupped Xie Qingqi's face in my hands, tilting my head to examine him earnestly. 2 months of arduous travels in Pengcheng had left him much thinner than on our wedding day. "How did you get so thin? Has someone been mistreating you?" He lowered his head, letting me knead his face freely. "No one bullied me. I was just eager to return early. So I endured several snowstorms, stayed up many nights, and went hungry a few times." Thinking of that lavish New Year's Eve feast, my heart ached for him again. "They started eating without waiting for you to return, and even spoke ill of you." I was upset, drank a cup of wine and left. "I was very hungry too, Xie Qingkai. What they're saying is all wrong. I think you're exceptionally good." Xie Qingkai fell silent, simply holding me tightly in his arms. "Turns out when you're held this tightly, your neck gets chilly." I suppose perhaps the snow in Xie Qingqi's heart had melted, as countless household lights twinkled below. Fireworks burst brilliantly overhead. It was the new year. On the 3rd day of the Lunar New Year, the sunlight was bright and clear, with not a cloud in the sky. The weather had been perfect for traveling for several days in a row. To appease Xie Qingxi, his parents selected many young ladies for him to meet. He refused to leave home or receive guests, shutting himself in the garden and ignoring everyone. It wasn't until today that Xie Qingkai and I finally set off back to Wu Commandery. The boat slowly departed from the shore, and I caught sight of a moon-white figure hiding far behind the crowd. Xie Qingkai casually reached for my hand, refusing to let go. "What are you looking at, watching an out-of-towner arguing with the old goose vendor? That stranger is truly peculiar." He didn't want the brine, insisting instead on dipping his food in a plate of vinegar so sour it could rot teeth. Xie Qingkai also laughed. "Dipping in vinegar? Who eats it that way?" "Yeah. Since when do you eat vinegar like that?" Only when he saw me laughing at him did Xie Qingkai belatedly realize I was teasing him. He cleared his throat lightly and suddenly became serious. "I've seen this way of eating back when I was in Wu Commandery." "Nonsense. We people of Wu Commandery would never eat like that." "Look closely at his clothes. That outsider must be from Wu Commandery. They say the women of Wu Commandery are skilled with their hands, putting great care into making clothes for their sweethearts." Seeing my confusion, Xie Qingkai sighed awkwardly and turned his head away. "It's vinegar. Vinegar because you put so much care into making clothes for him." Looking at his hastily hemmed sleeves with their crooked stitches, my face flushed red. Well, of course. Our Wu County has no shortage of skilled seamstresses. You're the lucky one, marrying the only clumsy-handed girl. Hearing this, Xie Qingkai understood the clothes Erlang was wearing weren't made by me, but he still wouldn't let it go. "And what's more, you gave him your fox fur robe to keep warm. What's this?" "I've even wrapped drowned kittens and puppies in fox fur before. The most important thing is, you call him Eiji, but only call me Qingkai." I stood on tiptoe and whispered in his ear, smiling brightly as I asked, "Then what should I call you?" "Lang, Kai." Still calling me husband. The wind on the boat was strong, making even sweet nothings sound doubtful to the ears. Xie Qingkai froze, then urgently grabbed my wrist. "Say it again." "But I've just said so much." Xie Kai, which words do you want to hear? Is it that I want to learn tailoring from mother to make you a wedding gown that fits just right? Or that I'll ask father to teach you 2 tales of private savings truly aren't little? Or perhaps that this marriage is perfectly serendipitous, just right, destined for us to grow old together hand in hand? After hearing the 2 stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.